at the time, I kind of felt like I was bouncing around lost. And I knew there were problems and I knew there were ways it needed to be fixed, but I didn't know how to fix it.
Alan, how did you find carnivore?
Hey, Dave, I've known about carnivore for a long time. And very early on in my adult life, I rejected it as a useful diet. And I'm 66. This goes back to late 1970s when I took a general ed class in college on health and nutrition, which was basically a calories in, calories out, move more, eat less process, teaching the food pyramid. Problem with that was, before that period of time and into my young adulthood, I could pretty much eat anything I wanted with zero, at least I thought, zero impact on my health. So I, for example, in that class, instead of listening to what was being taught, I didn't have time to implement what they were saying, nor did I want to, with all the other things going on with school. And so I I played basketball, I played football, I played baseball, and being active was sort of the thing that I thought would mean I never have issues with health or weight. Now, my mom and my dad had struggled with weight almost their entire adult life that I can remember. They both passed away. Um, um, so I thought I was invincible. I mean, for example, in that class, I was required to run a mile and a half in under 9 minutes and be tested for body fat with the calipers and be under 10% body fat. So um, I ate a sugary cereal called Corn Pops probably 3 meals a day, and snacks and in between, just about nothing else, just because I didn't feel like I needed to do that. Yet my body fat went down under 10%, and I squeaked in under 9 minutes on the mile and a half. So that class did me no good, and so that was laid a bad foundation for the rest of my life. And as uh, as the years went on, I got to mid 30s or so, and all of a sudden I was like 15, 20 pounds more than I probably should have been. And it stayed that way. And I figured, well, based on my parents, based on my brothers and sisters who were obese, I mean, I don't there's no other word for it. That's what they were. I wasn't. I figured I was still on a good trajectory, so I stuck with that. Um, uh, then uh, around 2001, my dad died all of a sudden, cardiac arrest. Um, Much to my surprise, shortly after that, my brother, who at the time was 45, died pneumonia. And when I went up to be there at the funeral, I could see that he was almost 300 pounds, which shocked me. And um, not too long after that, the oldest child in the family, my older sister, passed away, cardiac arrest. And these things happening, it was a bad decade, 2000 to 2010, but by the same token, my radar started going up saying, I think we got problems as a family, and maybe I need to be a little bit careful, and maybe I need to make sure I stay active so I don't have to deal with these issues. And I was until a few years later. I'm playing a men's league basketball game, and a guy falls across my left knee and snaps my knee back the wrong direction. And so I had to have reconstructive knee surgery and major reconstructive knee surgery. Basically, you had to get a whole set of cadaver ligaments reinstalled. So, but I am now not able to stay active, and my weight shot up. Didn't take long, and I knew I had a problem. But with the other things going on in my life, and the kind of being affected by the loss of so many people in my family, I'm thinking like, I'm not on a good trajectory. I'm ending up in the same boat my parents are in, and my kids are in, and I'm pressure at work, um, dealing with some toxic personalities, a lot of stress, working in an environment where I'm actually accessible for work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so these toxic people are around me all the time. So mental well-being getting worse, weight getting worse. Um, uh, I don't know if you saw an email where I sent you a couple pictures. So you can kind of see that before picture is um, at my worst, where I was just a hair under 300 pounds. It's at 6 feet. And um, I knew it was a problem. I had depression, and it wasn't keeping me from doing what I needed to do, but it was constantly weighing on me. So I was struggling with that. So it was about 2020. I can't remember exactly. These dates aren't important. The what I did is what's important. So roughly around then, I saw a talk by Dr. Ben Bickman, and it was called Plagues of Prosperity. He gave it at the university where he teaches, and it starts right out talking about metabolic health and problems, and then he does a little graphic early on in there where it lists different diseases and problems that we have in our society. And as the graphic begins to pop up, then in a little circle is a specific illness like obesity. Then another one pops up, high blood sugar, high diabetes. He's going through this list, and there's like three or four of them pops off, and I stop it and I look at it and I go, I got every one of those problems. And then I let it go a little further, and it completes the circle with about, I can't remember, 12, 14 different things that are wrong with people's health in our society today. I stop it, I look at all of them, and every one of those problems on that list is either me or my parents or other people in my family. And I realize this guy is talking about something that's uh, I need to solve. And so I listen to it. And now his talk um, emphasized insulin control. Keep your insulin low. If you keep your insulin low, you'll lose weight. If your insulin's high, you won't lose weight. But just basic principles that he gave me that I could uh, adopt and in my head see how I can go about and solve this problem. So one of them is, if the food comes in a box, a bag, or a bottle with a barcode, you probably ought to be careful with it, avoid it. Stay away from seed oils and stay away from vegetable oils. Real basic stuff. If you're going to eat a fruit or have a fruit, eat the fruit. Don't drink the juice. That kind of stuff. I think that makes complete sense. That answers that connected a lot of dots in my head, and I said, well, okay, I'm going to give it a try. And so that meant I went on a carnivore diet. So I figured, okay, now I had tried the Atkins diet in the mid 90s, and I had some success. I was at 240 pounds. I think I was able to get down to like 200. And then I stopped it and gained it all back plus some to get up to where I was at my worst. Um, they had Atkins snacks and Atkins sweets, chocolates, that kind of stuff. I learned something about myself the second time around, and I'll get to that in a second. So I take a look at the diets that kind of fit that pattern from Dr. Bickman's talk, and I found keto probably works fine, which is just a sort of another variation of the Atkins diet. I knew that had worked before, so I was willing to do it. So, okay, I pulled a number out of the air, keep my carbs under 40 grams a day, and give it a try. Well, it helped a little bit, not much. My genetics on carb limitation and my wife's are very different. She can probably eat 50 grams of carbs a day and lose weight and be fine. I got to keep it really low, and I didn't know that at first. So I ratcheted it down to 30, then I ratcheted it down to 20, and now I'm starting to make some progress. So this is just going into the COVID period of time. So, I'm losing weight on a consistent basis. I'm not driven by the scale. I don't didn't get disappointed if it wasn't better the next day, but I could feel it different with the clothes I was wearing, and um, the depression seemed to be clearing. a little bit, where I was never suicidal, but it was something that was always hanging over me, and uh, and the thought would often come to my mind, I think the world would be a better place if I wasn't around. And I couldn't think of a rational reason why I would think that way, but yet that was a recurring thought. Well, those things were those that mindset was starting to leave, or not have them anymore. So there was something positive in what I could see happening. So that motivated me to stick with it some more. Um, I got to a I lost about half the weight that I wanted to lose, which was almost 100 pounds. Kind of stayed plateaued. Didn't really make much progress. Um, I throttled it back to 20 grams a day of carbohydrates, and lost some more weight. It was just, you know, it was almost like automatic. Um, I started testing myself with a Keto Mojo and a blood pressure machine. And I had, like everybody else in the condition that I was, had all the metabolic problems. Clinically obese, high blood sugar, type 2 diabetic, um, high cholesterol. You rattle them off. I pretty much had them, and the doctors were trying to prescribing the metformin and the statins and stuff like that. And I reluctantly did the metformin, but when it got to the time of the statin, I was thinking, like, you know what, I can't go down this path. And they were a little surprised that I had lost some weight, and the doctors, I mean, and they were trying to still prescribe those things to me. I was asking them to hold off, and they were willing to let me hold off. With the Keto Mojo and the blood pressure machine that I had, I started testing myself with the Keto Mojo, and what I learned was, um, I loved Diet Coke, and I would drink it all the time. And I thought it was one of those things that I could drink without any consequence. And what I learned was it doesn't really matter if there's no carbohydrates in the drink or in the food. If it's sweet tasting, uh, it spikes my blood sugar. And so I had to go. I had to eliminate it. I never knew that. I thought if it was zero carbs, even though it was sweet, I could have all of it I wanted, and that wasn't the case. I couldn't do that. And then the light went off in my head. Eating these Atkin Atkins type snacks do the same thing to me. So for me, and what I assume to be my genetics, I had to eliminate eating stuff that is sweet. And when I did that, the progress took off again, and I got down pretty close to the weight that I needed to be. And it was about that time, gone down the rabbit hole with Dr. Bickman, but suggestions of other influencers like Dr. Barry and Bart Kay, and others that would pop up, and I kind of reached a point where I was pretty close to the weight that I wanted to be, but not moving for a period of several months. So um, I took the challenge of Dr. Barry, the beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. Just try it for 30 days and see how it goes. And so I said, I can do that. So I tried it, and uh, weight came down again, a little bit more. We're talking marginal amounts now, but other things improved. I've always had sinus issues, stuffy nose. I mean, from the time I was a teenager. Most of that had gotten better, but not totally. But when I did the beef, butter, bacon, eggs, it's probably 3% of what it used to be at this point. So um, I did, after 30 days, energy level was high. It went higher. I saw uh, for a year and a half now, I've joined a gym. I work out, do lifting weights 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I do leg work Tuesday, Thursday. I give my body a rest through the weekend. I feel great. I love going to the gym. Yeah, it's a state of mind I thought that I had in the 20s that I never thought I would experience again. And I'm here. I'm here at 67, where people in my family have been dying off. 66, when people in my family have been dying off at at a relatively early age, and arguably many other would say is an early age. I know what I look like in a mirror. I still look like I'm 66 years old, but in terms of mental state, in terms of being able to get out, be active, do things, work hard outside, I feel like I'm in my late 20s, early 30s. So I have been a very blessed individual to have gone down this road and realize there's something you can do about these things. The things that the doctors say that get handled by a pill and come back and see me later. We don't need to go down that road. It's there is way more than we can do for our health without a doctor in terms of the diet we eat. So I'm perfectly okay with the carnivore diet. I'm sticking with the carnivore diet. I was strict for 2 years on that. By meaning I would go to family functions, Thanksgiving get-togethers or Christmas dinners and stuff, and I would not deviate at all. This year, my philosophy was I will eat what they serve me. If it doesn't fit my diet, I'll eat a little bit of it. I won't eat a lot of it. Well, that was great. It saved me a lot of teasing from kids and kids about what I do, and they're not vicious when they tease me, but it's a little bit of a joke, Dad's going to have his carb by eating a chocolate See's Candy chocolate almond cluster one. And so this year I didn't do that this year. I went with the policy. Now that's fine. I added a few pounds. I knew I would. I accepted that as what it was going to be. But I did feel crappy for a week or so. So I just I'm not eating the sweets. I am a sugar addict. I have to accept that fact, just like an alcoholic's an alcoholic. If I eat something sweet, I could fall off the wagon. My self-control and ability to get back on course is way better than it used to be. It wasn't a problem to put that stuff behind me. If I have my way, I'm going to go a whole year sticking to the diet. And when dinner time comes around, I'm going to tell my kids, I'm going to, serve me what you want to serve me. I will eat it, but I'm on a diet. I'm not in a religion. So we have a peaceable agreement, and that's the way I navigate that. And I get right back on the horse after it's over and done with. So um, that gets me to where I am.
Yeah, well, first off, congratulations. I mean, those are a great list of improvements. And I'll put the photos in the video showing the weight loss that you've had. I mean, it's pretty dramatic. You've got higher energy. You're going to the gym regularly now. It's actually your body is really wants you to go to the gym, wants you to use that energy, right?
Yeah, I am not getting up thinking, "Oh, I hate to do this. I don't want." I get to that point in time, I want to go and do
Mm.
that. Absolutely, and that is a different mindset than other times in my life when I've had to do physical labors, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that my brain's working the way it should,
Mm.
and I don't mind the energy expenditure, and I realize that. I mean, before I knew if I went to the gym, it would have benefits, but instead of going, um, forcing myself, pushing myself, my brain saying, "You need to get there," and I have a good time when I go, and that's way different than the way it used to be for me.
Before we get on to talking about things like the way you eat and stuff related to the day to day, when you were kind of you talked about you'd been on Atkins, and then when you went off Atkins, you put all the weight back on again, and um, you've had these kind of experiences throughout your life, and then you got to the point where you saw Ben Bigman's presentation and you saw all these things in the circle. It was like,
A circle
yeah,
of circles. Yeah.
a circle of circles. Yeah, I've got all of these things, or people in my family have got these things. Um, like after that, and knowing about Atkins before, and then after that, and then making your way towards carnivore, was it like the dominoes were just falling into place, and you kind of thinking, well, why didn't I realize this before? Or of course, this is the right way to do it, or anything like that?
It wasn't a domino fallen into place realization for me then, it is for me now, looking back on it. At the time, I kind of felt like I was bouncing around lost. And I knew there were problems and I knew there were ways it needed to be fixed, but I didn't know how to fix it. And like I said, Dr. Bickman's presentation was kind of like a light bulb going off in my head. And because he gave the advice, and I made the association with his advice with how I was raised by in terms of what we ate. And there was never, well, almost all the time in my home there was desserts available. Um, and my mom went down the rabbit hole when we were in our teens of 1% milk, use margarine, and eat lots and lots of grains. And that means eat what's on the store, which bears some resemblance to grains, instead of, what the grains that you buy in a package nowadays bear no resemblance to the food of 100 years ago or 150 years ago. And that realization wasn't with me until uh, Dr. Bickman put that bug in my head, and then I started looking at other people in the similar influencers in the similar vein that could kind of make that connection with an explanation of how these things work and how it affects our health. And when that light finally went off, what went on in my head, then I knew, okay, this is a fixable, manageable situation without, in my view, without much effort. So I see the pattern of, my mom was diabetic most of her life. When she was, losing most of her physical capability, I knew she was numb in her arms from bicep down to the end because of neuropathy. No feeling. Same with mid thigh down to her feet. No feeling. And yet she would constantly ask me, if you're coming over, bring me a chocolate shake. And it was, this was before I figured out, my own problems too. But I was seeing that going, I don't want to be that. Same with my parents, and but yet I don't know how to fix it. And, I consider it fortunate for me that I saw that talk when I saw it, and I'm just a lucky guy, and I think my kids. I can see that they're going to have issues just by seeing how they eat and how they do things with their diet. It's not hitting them yet. They kind of say, yeah, Dad, okay, I understand. It worked for you. It's probably a good idea. We don't need it right now. So I see the grandkids. Some eat better than others. A lot of them eat the way I did at that age, and they're going to have problems. And I hope somehow I can reach them. I don't try to push it. And if they bring up a subject and it kind of tangentially fits into metabolic issues and diet issues, then it's an opportunity to bring it up. Then I do. But I try to be gentle about it. I accept the fact that, for example, with my wife, she doesn't have anywhere near the weight issues or other issues like that I did, but she's getting at a point where she needs to address it. But I don't think she needs to do what I do to lose that weight, and that's okay with me. She do it the way she wants. Um, but she's doing something about it, and that's what really matters to me. And I think what she'll do probably will work just fine because, like I said, she's not me, and she probably doesn't need to go down as extreme's not the right word, but for our conversation here, she doesn't need to go down that path right now if she doesn't feel like she wants to. And I'll support her in it. She's been very supportive of me, and I give her a lot of credit for that too. So
Are all your kids have left home now?
yeah, they're all adults. They're all
Okay.
married. All have kids, grandkids.
So, um, so it's just you and your wife at home? So
Yeah, we're in two different places. She's almost retired, staying in California, which is where I'm at right now. I'm helping a friend get some work done on a home up in Utah, so I spend most of my month up there. And so we're and since she was finishing her degree, so would go to work, and then she'd come home and do the degree. So it was actually kind of helpful to have me out of the house for extended periods of time. But yeah, that's our situation. Kids up and grown,
Nice.
and yeah,
So in Utah, you're helping build a house.
I'm getting people to come out and do the. I don't do the work. I'm helping
You're like
people.
project managing or
Yeah, I think the best word for me is a owner's rep. I'm hiring people to come out there. The people who own it don't live in Utah; they live in Texas. But I'm hiring people to come out and do things. There's some additions that are going to be done. There's some code violations that had to be dealt with, and I make sure people show up. That there's a contract that they get paid when they do the work. If they haven't finished the work, that we will hold the last payment back. That kind of stuff. So yeah, and that keeps me up there three weeks or so out of every month.
how are you eating day to day?
Um, my pattern is I will usually eat 2 meals a day. So mid morning or late morning, I will have, and I'm a creature of habit. So I will have about 3/4 of a pound of hamburger fried up in a pan. I'll dump 6 eggs in there, season it up, stir it up, and eat that for breakfast. Dinner almost every day is a ribeye with a half a slab of pork belly. So I want to make sure I get a little more fat in my diet than just the one steak. There's pretty good fat in some of these ribeyes. That's it. Now there'll be a periods of time when I'll go one meal, um, and whether or not I eat two really depends on labor. What kind of physical labor I'm going to have to do that day. Because there's some days where I have nothing going on, things are quiet, and I may just go with one meal. But most days it's 2 meals. I do intermittent fasting. Actually, I don't like the term intermittent fasting, even though it's accurate. I like time restricted eating, and so I will. That's what I'll do when I do my one meal or 2 meals. When Friday comes around, if it's going to be a quiet weekend and I don't have a lot of things going on, I will probably eat on Friday night and not eat again until Monday morning. And I'll do that once a month. So, and then in out of those 12 possible times when I fast for that period of time, 2 of those days, about 6 months apart, I might fast longer. Um, and again, it depends on if I'm having to do some physical labor. I tend to not fast for an extended period of time. But if things are kind of quiet, normal paperwork, um, uh, not travel or something like that, then I'll fit in that extended fasting period. And it's not a total fast. I'll drink water, and I'll suck on some minerals. And if I really get edgy, I might have a tiny bit of broth or something like that. I mean, if I'm going to go 4 days or more. Uh, but uh, but for the most part, it's the 2 meals a day, and then once a month, a Friday to Monday morning fast. So I find that helpful. The autophagy from fasting has helped other metabolic issues that I've had, and I did have colon cancer. I can't remember exactly the date. Around 2010. I was very lucky. It was caught late. For about a month there, me and my wife figured my ticket had been punched, and as they screened me, went in for an operation, had the tumor removed, and then multiple screenings for 3 years, just kept coming back blank. So I was very fortunate there. How much of that it might have been I don't think any of it had anything to do with my diet. I think I just got lucky. But I like the fact that in terms of autophagy from fasting, it's it's a small price to pay to try to keep the possibility of cancer coming back at bay. I'm not in fear of it coming back, but I think that's a good way to solve it. So, and then there's a list a mile long of issues that I had that have all cleared up and gone away. Got COVID last year, and I was feeling kind of fluishy. Uh, uh, Canceled my appointments and got in bed, got some rest. I still ate the normal way that I ate. 48 hours later, I was over. So very fortunate there. And
You know, I I'm interested about the fasting that you're doing. How do you feel during that fast?
Usually, well, first of all, on the daily part, the 16 or 18 hours, nothing. I'm not hungry. I get sometimes a slight feeling that, okay, you haven't eaten for a while, but you don't. I'm not hangry. It's like I'm okay. I can still function. Um, when I get and do the extended fast, sometimes I get a little hangry at the between 24 and 36 hours. Quite often, just sucking a little bit of salt, it goes away. And then when I get to that 48-hour point, usually I'm fine. I mean, my stomach's telling me I haven't eaten, but I'm not having an insulin crash, and things aren't going. My head isn't going crazy saying you got to get some food down. It's like I'm fine. I still got fuel. I can I can go forward. So when I've done these 4 or 5 day fasts, I get past about 2 days. I'm fine. I feel I'm not feeling a problem at all. I can't go out and do heavy labor because I might get a little punch, a little loopy in the head or something like that. But just the normal stuff, straighten some things up and out in the garage or do a little bit of yard work outside, not a problem.
And so this is the kind of thing that I think really is kind of astounding for someone who hasn't done this way of eating before, who might be considering it, because they want to lose weight or they want to get healthier. Um, what would you say to the kind of the person out there who's thinking, yeah, but I can't do without my snacks?
Well, that's wrong. I don't know how else to put it to you. You can do just fine without your snacks. Um, you just haven't tried. And like me, I wasn't going to try until enough warning bells went off in my head telling me I can't stay on this course. So if somebody's not willing to take the suggestion, well, they're going to get there eventually on their own just because how bad their health gets. And then they'll learn that they can go without the snacks. So now I like snacks too, but my snack might be a little bit of bacon or something like that. But it's and that's my kids are kind of in that boat. They think that they can't go without the cookies and the brownies and that kind of stuff. So I hope they learn maybe by watching this without admitting it to me. They'll learn that they can, and I hope they do. I certainly don't want them to go through what I went through. But uh, when you're eating the right food, you're not really feeling like you're going without anything. My paradigm about food has changed,
Hmm.
and which means it's a cliche. People have probably heard it before. I eat to live now. I don't live to eat, and that is a living reality for me. It's not just a cliche.
Hmm.
So, and I can't say it enough. I'm a blessed person to be where I'm at.
This is always an interesting conversation point for me because I think when I was doing a regular kind of standard diet, I was very focused on, well, the food has got all the vitamins and minerals in it. So, whether it's the energy bar or it's the juice or whatever it is, it's got all those things in it. So it's okay. But you start to kind of realize, well, um, maybe the food scientist mixing the synthetic vitamins and minerals into a food doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be absorbed by your body.
Exactly,
Um,
bioavailability, and a lot of a
mm,
lot of a lot of people, and I'm referring to my family specifically, don't know that and don't believe it.
yeah, which is part of the vitamin C thing, where someone who's doing a carnivore diet doesn't need the same amount of vitamin C as someone doing a regular diet.
Right? Yeah. The way the body functions is entirely different between the standard American diet and the carnivore diet, and you don't. It's hard to explain it, and it's and, until you actually experience it.
How has your outlook changed on the future since you've been eating this way compared to how it was before?
Well, um, at a minimum, I can say I'm not going to go through what my parents and my siblings went through in terms of their health. Uh, I thought I could never get on a motorcycle and go riding again for 5 to 10 years. I was in that boat. It'll never happen for me again. Well, I'm back on a motorcycle and I'm riding around, so that's great. Uh, I I could get hit by a truck tomorrow. That's fine. I am 4 years, 5 years away from being the same age as my father when I watched him die. Um, I'm not anywhere near health wise where he was at that stage of life. So, as I said before, I've been blessed, and I don't know what's lies in store, but I know that if I want to go hiking in the mountains, in the Sierras, a place I love, I can do that. Um, if I want to go for if I want to go for a swim somewhere, I can do that. Uh, that was just something a lot of those things that you would take for commonplace in your 30s and your 40s, I thought were over for me, and they're not. So that in and of itself puts me in a different frame of mind, and the problems and the pressures and the stresses of life that I had when I was fighting depression haven't gone away, but now it's like, okay, if I take action and get this done, uh, okay, this person's bad for me, get them out of my life, and then it's just another day. Um, Way different paradigm than where I was when I was struggling with those things mentally.
I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dave. I appreciate what you're doing. I think it's good to see the average person get on and say, "This is what it's done for me," and you're creating a little army of data points out there that I'm not seeing come in from other channels. So I'm glad you're doing it, and I'll keep watching with interest what you do. I really appreciate it.